We are live. All right. Yo, what's up? Welcome to the episode of Ghetto Parables, episode 3, with your host, Mama Manasseh and
Chris Clark.
So, we got a good one for you today. We have been out the loop for a minute. I apologize. Life has been busy. Keep us in your prayers because we got a lot going on. Good things, though, but it's just moving by God's grace and maintaining and staying focused. We've been under pressure a lot to kind of keep this going. Been nervous and everything. It's been a lot of warfare. Um, we got to keep this thing going because I know people need this. And I know our voice is needed in our generation. Um, Basically, what we wanted to talk about was today's topic is fear versus faith and what it means and the importance of being real in this generation. All right, so let's start it off. Fear is just as powerful as faith. If you believe something will happen, if you have a negative thought, you can bring it to pass just as much as, excuse me, if you believe in a positive thought and you pray and you believe God can do something for you and you work your faith, it's the same thing. So maintaining and understanding the mindset that fear can bring something to happen, can bring something to pass if you worry about it. Worry and faith go hand in hand. It's just the opposite of the coin. If you worry about something long enough, you'll bring it to pass. If you have faith and you don't walk in fear, you'll bring that other thing to pass. Which is why it's so important that God tells you in the Word, don't be afraid, don't fear. Because fear will bring whatever you're afraid of to pass. We see in Job, Job's main fear was him losing his kids. And because he dwelt in this so much, the enemy was allowed to really just snatch everything from him. Now, God brought it back to him, but because he feared, and the enemy is always looking for something that you're fearful of. Yeah.
Might have prayed on.
Exactly. He's Second Timothy says he is like the enemy moves like a roaring lion to see who he may devour. So I ain't gonna talk too much. What do you think about it, everything?
Honestly, I feel I feel that thing about fear. I feel like, well, I know growing up when I was like a lot younger, probably like elementary and middle school, before I had really got into myself and really got into a lot of things, I was scared of a lot of things, but just as I got older and being in tough situations, it like toughened my skin, cause I didn't develop faith. Cause it's like once you're already in those situations and you have stuff going on, the only thing you can really depend on is faith and God to get you out of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be scared because fear attracts chaos, and if you fear, it's gonna make things go worse, or it's gonna. And I feel like once you're already in that situation, you can't be scared. You just gotta, you gotta. I mean, in a way, I want to say man up, but then you just gotta have faith to know you're gonna be good.
Yeah.
Cause soldiers go through battles. It's not going. You can't be a soldier of the Lord without having. It's gonna be storms and battles and times where you gotta fight, but God ain't gonna let you die or let you down. No.
Exactly. But storms is needed because storms bring out.
They toughen you.
Yeah, exactly. They situations like God uses in order to basically purify you from what's inside of you. So if you're dealing with fear, God is going to allow a situation that's going to bring that fear out that you didn't know that was on the inside. Because whether we like to admit it or not, and the word says it, God doesn't look out the outside of the man. He look like a man's heart. So if you know you got fear in your heart or something, even though you try to hide it from everybody else, you may try to act like you the biggest gangster. But if you got fear in your heart, God's gonna be like, okay. So if you really want to be free from this fear, I gotta put you in the face of your fear in order for you to either you gonna sink or you gonna swim. You gonna have to either back up from it or you gonna adapt and get over that fear. That's why you gotta keep in prayer at all times and really just see God's face and understanding that God does not give you a spirit of fear, but He gives you power, love, and a sound mind. Too, ain't nothing too hard, ain't nothing too mighty that it won't bow to the name of Jesus. For real, for real. But situations come, it makes you stronger. That's why in this generation, we was talking about it earlier, like why it's important that you do you understand who you are and what your purpose is, so that way you don't have to follow the in crowd or try to follow what everybody else is doing. Because if you know who you are and you know who God made you to be, but most importantly, you know who God is, and then you find out who you are, then you won't be swayed by what's going on. You see every day in the world just people losing their minds, for real. And the people who everybody looks up to are human. They can be here today or gone tomorrow, and they have these philosophies at times that if you're not really rooted and grown in God, you can get lost because it tries to teach you how to be something that you're not. And if you know you're not that type of person, you don't need to try to act that way. Now, sometimes people do have good philosophies, but at the same time, though, they got philosophies where it's like it's contradictory to what you yourself believe in, and because you're trying to fit in at times, and I was guilty of it too. That's why I'm talking about it. Because you try to fit in, you try to take it on as your own, but on the inside, it's like it's battling with you because you know for a fact this is not what you believe in. You don't move like this at all. But I don't want to talk too much. What do you think about
Mm. Yeah, I think in my generation, it's like a big identity crisis. Like people, people, and then especially my generation, they get themselves into like say the streets or like stuff that they know is not them because they see their favorite rapper doing it, or just somebody they idol or whoever they look up to doing it, and then it's like something happens with that person, or then that big person they was looking up, something they show a flaw or some mess up happened with them, and then it's like it kind of throws them off. But I feel like honest, or either the person that they looking up to, they try to act like that person and emulate it, knowing they can't do what that person does, or not even knowing that person they're looking up to probably don't want to be in the situation they're in. But because of probably generational curses and they're coming up, that's just the lifestyle that was placed in front of them.
it? Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like it's a big identity crisis. It's people more of saying they're being what they see instead of being who they are,
Yeah,
type of thing.
it's
And
well,
that's where all the depression and all this other stuff come from.
exactly. We got people be opening so many doors. I know a lot of people don't really talk about it. We not the church got to step up because the church don't really talk about it all the time. You rarely hear pastors talk about why it's important to keep doors closed. Because the minute you open up a door, a spiritual door, to something that you ain't had no business doing, like, let's say for example, and this is a common one, but a lot of people don't really talk about it. Um, Listening to philosophies like going into just this new type of spirituality where people they try to just act like they witches, but they're not. And you got so many people that's on social media that really their family has like delved into like real deal witchcraft, and because like Western media has like made it so cool, oh it's so cool to be a witch, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. When you open up a door, you try to do all these philosophies, you got all these type of like different materials from all this occultic stuff, and you open the door to something that neither you or your family has no idea about, and all of a sudden you got this supernatural turbulence in your life that you don't know how to get rid of. And then you see all these movies where people be playing around with Ouija boards, doing that for fun, and all of a sudden a demon conjures up. First of all, if you don't know nothing about the occult, stay away from the occult. That's the thing about fear. Like you try to fit in, and it's big in society, especially in Western society, where you got things like Harry Potter and all the TV and stuff. You see witchcraft on TV, and you think it's cool, but if you do it in real life, like you open up the door to the enemy, and you can get possessed, and that's on something serious. And that's why, like, we as like the church has to like step up, and we got to show people like that. Listen, you don't have to go into darkness in order to like know what power is. You got to find out who Jesus is. But we dumb down the relationship with Jesus because of the fact that it's not cool, or they water down just who he is and what the word is. Because our ancestors in the word is powerful, and they went through a lot of stuff that we go through now, but worse, way worse. You talking about backstabbing? You talking about betrayals, cheating? Shoot, a couple of them killed their own family members, either out of jealousy or because they crossed them and stuff. It's not just us. The Bible says literally like there's nothing new under the sun. The same problems that happened before happened again. But it's up to us to really get the wisdom from God to understand how we need to move for real, for real. But what's your take on that, man?
As on what part? Like,
Just I said a lot. Um, I'll backtrack. Your take on people, but that ties in though. Is just people just if they feel like they are an outsider, they feel like they have to.
oh, like fit
Yeah,
in or
yeah, they
something.
have to fit in, and they don't have their own identity, and they go through like you said earlier. Excuse me, an identity crisis. An identity crisis is something that I don't think a lot of people take into consideration. You try to act like you something, but you're not, and then you get yourself in a situation that you have no business being in. Yeah,
And I feel like though with situations like that, I feel like well, some people have a lot of pride, and they probably will go through something knowing that that's not them, and they'll go through it, and it won't humble them. But some people, sometimes God, like with situations like that, or just in life in general, He'll put you through certain stuff to show you that this is what comes from this, and this type of way you live, and this is this is what's gonna happen or come from this if you try to be this way. But for some people, sadly, that don't humble them enough,
no,
because some people either got too much pride or they won't know till, you know, hate to say until they die, but some people that's when they really get it. That's why you just gotta just pray that people, certain people, you gotta pray that certain people not, well, really, I don't want to say they bump their head, but they kind of tighten up, like
yeah,
they see they see the error, and they see the wrong of what they doing, and because, and then this society, they want to teach you that. I mean, I've been through all the stuff I'm about to say, so I understand that they want to, like being in, street situations or going to jail or something, masculine. That's not masculinity at all.
no. Masculinity is
If anything,
control
that's
and
toxic
discipline.
masculinity.
Exactly.
Because being a real man is taking, having a relationship with God, taking care of your family, and getting your money, staying out the way. You don't got to be in people's faces, be in the mix. You just and praying also.
Exactly.
But yeah,
It's different now because like
because it's a big attack on masculinity too in this society.
exactly,
Then they want dudes to talk to dudes and girls. That's not, no.
exactly. That's that perversion,
Yeah,
man. But like I
that's
said
why you gotta
before,
keep your eyes open.
exactly. Ain't nothing new under the sun. The same thing that we dealing with now, they dealt with before.
Mm.
Only thing about them is though that civilizations got destroyed because of it. I mean, it's right around the corner for real, for real. I mean, a lot of people are repenting and changing their ways. But at the same time, though, the way civilization is, it's like it's really just going down the same corridor The same thing that really destroyed other societies is going to destroy the same thing. Nothing new under the sun. Um, but I wanted to talk about what you said earlier. Um, really, we'll really just reiterate a point. Um, dang, I done lost that thought. I can't stand when that happens. But we have to really just, yeah, that's what it is. Sometimes you do have to bump your head. Sometimes God allows you to bump your head because we get so stuck in our ways, and what that is a reprobate mind. That's what it is. When your mind gets so sold into this nonsense, that God is like, okay, the only way for you to really, really get this lesson, well, you gonna have to go through a hard. And then, in order for you to really, really understand what I'm trying to do, after you bump your head, you'll understand. It's just like us, and you know for a fact, like when we was little and we did something that we know we had no business doing, we got a whooping for it. It's basically that God, if the word says, if God can't correct you, then you're not a follower. Then He's not really your father for real, because obedience comes with correction. There's nothing wrong with being corrected. See, society tells you, oh, if you get corrected all the time, that means that you're stupid. That doesn't mean stupidity at all.
And
Wisdom comes
another
from
thing,
correction. Yeah.
people have to realize, people that want to think that God will use them because they somehow like they basically fake their lifestyle. They try to be all goody two shoes. That's not the case. God used the people that He correct. God used God used the craziest people, like the drug addicts, the killers, the one that's been to jail 1,000 times. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the strongest. Those are the disciples that the Lord will use. So don't think it's because you got in trouble 1,000 times, or you doing this and that, or this happened in your life that God can't use you, or that it's just over for you.
Exactly.
Because those are the people that God uses the most.
Exactly. If the disciples was here in modern day times, I know for a fact Peter would have been a gangster. Really, for real, for real. He would have been a gang member, simply because of the fact that his background. Like even the way Jesus, if Jesus was in this modern day time, he wouldn't be like from the suburbs. Jesus would be from the ghetto, like from the harsh ghetto. He'd be from a place where society deems as nobody is worth coming from. Cause that's where he was from. He said the word says people would say, "Is there anything good that came out of Nazareth?" Because it was so bad. So if God can take somebody from that background, which was He used as His only begotten Son, somebody from that background, He could take people from different backgrounds who society looked down as, oh, tax collectors and gangsters and fishermen who people deemed low, and He didn't take nobody from like royalty class running. He used them to change the world. What makes you think He won't use you? That's the thing about this society. They try to give you this foolish fantasy point of view that if you're not from a higher upper class, or if you don't have the type of money that these rich people on social media have, then you're a nobody. And you see people getting poisoned by it all the time. That's why we definitely iterate to people all the time, man. Take a break from social media. Don't let it poison how
That
you
too.
view everything.
Don't
Yeah.
be so. Because even I even see some people I know, don't be so stuck in social. That's a trap.
Yeah.
Society wants you to be stuck in social media, so you don't worry about what's going on in real life. So then when something come to your doorstep, you're unprepared, unaware, don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
That's why it's important. Not to say you need to watch the news and be all super serious and super political, but you need to like, and not to say God ain't protecting you, and but God shows you stuff for a reason. You gotta be aware to certain what's going on in this world.
Yeah. You just can't let it oversaturate
Yeah,
your mind and
and
your heart.
don't let what you see overwhelm you or depress you or make you not want to go outside or make you want to, you know, take your life or something because it's so overwhelming. That's when faith comes in
Exactly.
and praying.
That's why it's so important that you really understand the difference between faith and fear. To reiterate the point and to bring it on home, um, fear is the opposite of faith. If you worried about something or if you believe in something negative for so long, like I said, it will come to pass. Faith is the opposite of fear. God gives you faith. He don't give you no fear. God gives you a spirit of power, love, and of a sound mind. He doesn't come into your mind with foolishness and chaos. He gives you peace. That's how you know things is from God when He gives you peace. Everything else is from the enemy. Well, we about to wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to add before we had us? All right, bet. So this is episode 3 of Ghetto Parables with your host Marvin Manasseh and
Chris Clark.
all right, love y'all. Peace.